Hi, I'm Peter Young. I'm a studio furniture maker, and today I want to talk to you about marquetry. So marquetry is the art of making pictures with different coloured woods, and you can use it in boxes as I've done here, or you can use it in furniture in different kinds of way. Now there's several different ways of doing marquetry, and the technique I want to show you today is called double bevel cutting marquetry. So I'll just take you through the steps of how we do it. So the first step in any marquetry is to start off with a drawing, and it's really important to do the drawing well, because the whole thing depends on the quality of the drawing. So it doesn't have to be a perfect drawing, and a lot of people are frightened of this drawing step, but all you've got to do is just freehand in some leaves, as in this case, and think about how it will look in the final picture. But the critical thing is to spend quite a lot of time on the drawing, because if you have a bad drawing, you have a bad bit of marquetry. So once you've done the drawing, the next step is to make a tracing of drawing with tracing paper. And because we're always working from the glue side rather than the show side, once you've done the tracing, you need to flip it over, and then what I do is I tape it down onto a piece of melamine like this, so the tape acts as a hinge. And what I'll be doing in the process is putting pieces of veneer underneath here and finding where I am, just flipping backwards and forwards. The next step in the procedure is to start to assemble the elements of the picture. One of the really nice things about this technique is that we can arrange the grain pattern to show the grain pattern in the leaf, and that gives us a really nice effect. The veneer that I'm using here is called silver ash, and it's got a really nice effect which is called chatoyance, and that means that when the light hits it at different angles, it gives it a slightly different colour. So what we need to do now is make this particular leaf here, which I've numbered elements 5 and 6. And what I do is I place the veneer underneath the tracing so that the grain pattern is running parallel to these lines here. And I'm just going to tape that down in position. And then I get the other element and place it over the top. And again with the grain running there, making sure the leaf is fully covered. And I tape that one down. Use lots of tape in this procedure. Now what I need to do, the cut that I need to make, and this is sometimes the bit that people have difficulty with, the cut that I need to make is the join line between the two elements. So in this case it's this one here. So all I need to do is make that cut through the middle. And to show me where that is, I'm going to use some carbon paper. And I'm just going to do a tracing now onto the veneer of this element number 6. Like so. And now this shows me the cut line. So this, if I cut this line here, that will join the two pieces together. That will join 5 and 6 together. We're not worried at this stage about this outline part of it. We're just worried about joining the two pieces together. So having made that drawing and showing where the cut is, I now need to go to the marquetry donkey and make the cut. Okay, so you'll notice that the top of this cutting donkey is angled, and that's to give us the bevel. We arrive at the angle of the bevel largely by trial and error. For commercial veneer, which is about 0.9 of a millimetre thick, an angle of about 15 degrees is about right. So what we do is that we angle the piece that we're working on, and we try to keep the saw vertical. Now what I have to do now is make the cut along those two elements to separate them. So now what I'm doing is doing the bevel cut, joining the two elements together, and this will allow the two pieces to come together without a kerf line. And that's the beauty of the double bevel technique, is that you can join pieces of veneer together with no kerf line. Need to put these pieces together now, so we need to get rid of the waste pieces and keep the bits that we will need. And again, we're taping them up Now you can see that I've got an outline here of leaf number 6. And to get leaf number 5, I need to put it underneath the drawing again, find my landmarks, tape it down again, and then use the carbon paper to draw in the outline of leaf number 5. A little bit hard to see there with this drawing carbon paper. There's the two bits that'll go together. Now to do the rest of the picture, all we do is continue to do that. We put these two bits together, and these two, and these two, these two, and these two. When we've got all of those together, what we then need to do is to cut one into the other. So you can see here that this leaf is lying over the top of this one. So what I've got to do is make a cut, put these two packets together, and then make a cut along that line. And for this element here, it's got two leaves lying over it, so I need to make a cut line there and there. So that's the next step. So the nice thing about the double bevel technique is that you can get a really nice tight fit between the two elements that you're cutting together, and you get almost a seamless cut with no curve between the two elements. We'll leave that apart for the moment, because the next step is to do some sand shading, because this element here is below this one, and so what we need to do is just put a little shadow line in here to give it that 3D effect. So I'm just heating the sand up now and just getting it ready. While I'm doing that, I'll do some more cutting in. It takes about 10 minutes with this setup to get the sand. It's got to be really hot. So I've marked here on each of the elements where the sand shading is going to go. That's that little stippling piece here. So what I do is just dip it into the sand and bring it out and have a look. You can see I'm starting to get a little bit of burning there. What I'm looking for is a gradation in colour. I don't want it to be just really black at the edge. I want it to have a nice shadow, a gradation. So that's that piece done. Just do another piece. And again, you can see I've got a little bit, it's probably a little bit overdone there and a little bit underdone over here. The final shading that we see will always be a little bit lighter than this, because we've got to remember that we've got to sand this after we glue it down to the substrate and take all the tape off. We need to sand it, so we'll be sanding back a little bit of that shading. So what we need to do now is just put our bits together into some packets, and we'll then cut it into the background. You can see it's sometimes hard to identify the shapes when they're apart like this, and that's one of the reasons that I number each of the elements. Not sure which way that one goes actually. There we go. So to cut in the walnut burl into this background veneer, what I've done is tape the burl onto the back of the veneer, and I'm using this tracing from my drawing to tell me where to cut. So what I'll do is cut out here, and that will bring the walnut burl through this veneer to the top. So what I'm going to do is make a hole through the veneer so that I can put the blade of the saw through. You can use a drill, but what I find is quite okay is just to use the point of a compass. You could just make an absolute straight cut, but of course that's not really what a branch looks like in nature. So one of the things we can do with this sawing technique is just do a bit of a wiggle here and there, just a random wiggle, and that gives us a bit more interest in the picture rather than just doing an absolute straight cut. I'm just going to return around. And remember, these two ends are going to be covered up by the leaf that goes over the top. Cut the first two leaves into the background, and I'm just going to remove the waste material, and we'll get a look for the first time of something what the finished picture is going to be like. Okay, so we've now cut all of the elements into the background birch veneer. Remember, this is the glue side that we're seeing here, so all these numbers and the other pencil marks and so forth won't be seen in the final picture. What we'll do now is turn it over and glue it down to a substrate like plywood or MDF, and then we'll be able to use it in a box lid or wherever we want, whatever we want to do with it.